Hello YouTube, welcome back to another exciting and interesting video. Just what you're used to from this channel. Yes, that was a joke. Of course, I know you guys come here to watch tangenty and ranty, boring videos, and that you're all gluttons for um, torture, because otherwise, how could you possibly stand watching any of my videos? Okay, today we are going to talk Sex and the City. Couple of disclaimers before we get into this video. First, I am just under the assumption that the vast majority of people who watch my channel are either gay men or women. Maybe I have some straight male watchers at this point, since I have very publicly come out and spoken against almost all the things that are leftist and more so in tune with the gay community. So I don't know, maybe there is some straight guys. The reason I'm saying this is because the assumption is that you guys know what Sex and the City is and kind of the premises of it, because I'm not going to go into that, obviously. Also, as a disclaimer, shocking, probably you guys are used to this from me by now, I am one of the worst gay men ever because I don't seem to agree with a lot of things that come out of the left and out of what is the gay community and what they think is the way we should think and act and feel. I don't agree with most of those things. You guys know that in a lot of situations I'm much more conservative, not the point of this video. And as such, I actually have to tell you guys that I am actually not a Sex and the City fan. So you guys are probably like, why are you going to talk about Sex and the City if you're not a Sex and the City fan? I'm not. I always thought it was a terrible show. However, my ex, the one I was together with for 6 years, he loved Sex and the City. So I have seen, I don't know, like probably half of the episodes. And I feel like I saw one of the movies. I saw the one where they're like in Dubai or wherever they were. I don't know which one that was, the first or the second one. But yeah, I'm not like a diehard fan of the show. I don't think it was a terrible show. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't think it was that interesting. Um, yeah, but uh, here's more what I want to get into. I don't really even want to talk about the original show or the movies. I don't know enough about the original show or the movies. Um, I can barely really honestly remember the characters. Uh, I don't even know if I know all of them by name. I definitely know Carrie. Uh, she was probably the main reason I didn't like that show. I didn't get it. Like she was just this super annoying, selfish human being who only ever cared about her problems and her issues, and everybody else had to dance around her. Like she just got my nerves. Then there was like the slutty one whose name I forgot, and then there was the prudish one whose name I forgot. Yeah, and then there was like the smart one, like the redhead one, and her name I remember. Miranda. Yeah, I remember her name, Miranda. Um, Actually, I do remember the other one's name, Charlotte. 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 I will remember the other one's names too. I don't remember right now, but I do know. I know. It will come to me anyway. She's not even in the new ones, which is what I want to talk about. Here we go again. 4-minute introduction. I haven't even talked about anything yet. So anyway, I don't want to talk about the original show. I don't want to talk about the movies. I don't care. I personally was not a fan. I didn't really watch any of them. So it's not my place to like talk about them or give input because, you know, I didn't watch them. However, I recently became aware of the fact that they did a reboot of the show and the slutty one is not there. I know her real name. The actress's name is Kim Cattrall. I know that because she was in that movie Mannequin, and I did really like the movie Mannequin. But I forget what her name was on the show. Anyway, so they rebooted the show, and this is more what I want to talk about. And not so much because I have input in terms of what Sex in the City or is it a good show or a bad show, or is the fashion great or whatever? Because I remember like everybody cared about the fashion, and that was like a big deal about the show. But the reason I even became aware of the fact that there's a reboot is because uh, YouTuber who I watch um, made a video on the fact that she's watching it. Lauren Chen's, maybe some of you guys. I actually don't know if I really like her, and I don't know if I agree with a lot of her points. I mean, I don't know her, so I can't say I like her or don't like her. I'd have to get to know her in real life. But I don't know. Her content is a little iffy to me at times. Anyway, but she mentioned that there was a reboot, and then she mentioned a little bit that was really it was really terrible, and that it was super woke. And because you guys know that I'm really anti woke, I'm really against all this crap. I kind of then started researching it more, like what the reboot is about and all this kind of stuff. And oh my god, 6 minutes and I haven't said anything yet. Okay, come on, focus, get to the point. The reason I want to talk about this is because I have now actually invested a little bit. I actually haven't watched a single one of the episodes in its completion, but I started watching um, like reviews of the episodes because I don't think I can get myself to actually watch a full episode again. So some of you guys who are probably fans of Sex and the City are like, you shouldn't talk on something that you haven't fully watched, and so you can't really appreciate it. I openly admit that I didn't appreciate it. But there was this one what I don't even know what episode it was in. But I'm gonna link it down below. I want you guys to watch. I want you guys to watch this segment of that episode because I feel like the reboot of Sex and the City to me is it's a perfect example of the kind of world we live in right now, and the kind of ridiculous ideas and thought patterns that the left is trying to convince us is the reality of today. So, you guys know that one of the big issues I have with the left is that they're really trying to push this narrative that in 2022, the world is more sexist, more racist, more homophobic, more dangerous than ever before. Life has never been as hard as it is now. They're really trying to push this narrative, and they're especially trying to push this narrative via social media, via our movies. There's been so many movies I could tell you guys that were like, I loved the Charlie's Angels movies from whenever they were, the early 2000s, I think, with Drew Barrymore. I loved those. And I actually even kind of liked the original series, even though it's kind of cheesy. And then they also did a reboot Charlie's Angels movie, and it was literally unwatchable. It was one of the only movies I can remember as an adult actually standing up and leaving. I was like, I can't watch it. It was so woke. It was so in your face, like preaching to us about what horrible people we are, how dumb we are, how much we still have to learn about social justice, and it just doesn't make for good entertainment. I mean, like, even if these things were true, which a lot of them I just don't believe are true. I just don't believe in all this like crap anyway. But if I was somebody who would believe that these issues were as extensive and horrible as they're trying to tell us they are, you could still write a good story with a good narrative to let us know, hey, here's something maybe to think about, without it being so blatant and in your face. Like, it's just not enjoyable entertainment. So anyway, there's this clip. I saw it, and to me, it was barely. I could barely watch it from the Sex and the City reboot. It was just so bad. It was so cringy. It was so ridiculous. It was so patronizing. And Samantha, that was the other one's name. So anyway, and again, please watch it as well if you can. But I'm going to tell you guys what it was about anyway, because it was so. This is so how I feel like the woke left is trying to tell us the world is, and like trying to preach to us. I've said this 3 times now. I don't know where my mind is today. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm kind of repeating myself too much. But Anyway, the smart one, Miranda. It's, it's oh my god, it's just so bad. It is so bad and ridiculous, and like how people are so pandering to the left, how they are so scared. People have gotten so scared at saying anything contrary to the left. And the pandering, oh god, it's literally unwatchable. I don't even know how I can dare to tell you guys to watch it because it's so bad. So Miranda, okay, um, she was actually the one character in the show that when like the episodes I watched with my ex, I actually kind of was like, oh, she's like the one redeeming character in this show. Like she's smart, she doesn't like take shit. She's more interested in career rather than I need to have sex every 10 seconds and I need to have a nice dress and I need to be in all the social parties. Like she was like the only one who to me was like, okay, this is like a legitimate human being I can actually somewhat respect. So anyway, here's this woman who's lived in New York her whole life, or I don't know, I don't know where were they all from New York? I don't remember, but like she lived in New York for definitely for like decades at least. Um, she's a lawyer in New York. I don't know anything else about, but I know she was like a lawyer. They lived in New York. In the original show already, they like went to all these different like clubs and they met and like if I remember correctly, I think she was even the one who dated a black guy. Yeah, she dated a black guy and they hung out with gay people and trans people and they were like super progressive in like one of the most progressive cities in the world. And now in the reboot, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so patronizing and stupid. She actually like decides to take like some additional credits at some university. And the teacher of the class is a black woman. And then we get like the black woman comes in and Miranda is like, "Oh, you can't sit there. That's the seat for the teacher." And she's like, "I am the teacher." And then Miranda's all like, literally like I felt like I was in some I mean it didn't even I can't even believe that somebody would write this material in the 2020s. Literally I felt like this was some kind of like super racist minstrel show from like I don't know the 1920s or something like 100 years ago. Like she literally was like, "What? I never heard of no color being able to read and write, let alone be a teacher." I was just like, come on, come on. You're telling me this woman who has been a lawyer for decades in the most progressive city was the most one of the most and has these super progressive friends. They do all these super progressive shit, and now she's like all flustered and shocked that her professor is a black woman, and then she's all like, "Oh yeah, well I'm sorry, it's just because you have braids, and not that there's anything wrong with having braids." And like it was just, I and like I said, I don't even watch the show. I don't care about the show. Like, but the thing is, like, I think it is just such what is that word in English? Like Spiegel reflection. Reflection. I feel like it is such a reflection of what the left is trying to like, especially like white people, how like white people go through the world. Like we're just so ignorant. Like the fact that we can even find our way to work or into our clothes, or it's kind of like, oh my God, there are people of different colors in the world. I didn't know. Oh my God. Oh, you can speak? Well, I always thought only the white man could speak and read. I mean, it's so insultingly stupid and I don't know. And then she goes on and like it's all this about like pronouns, and she's like, I'm not racist now. Like, and it's like it literally in the show just keeps from like obviously like I said, but like I've seen reviews of other people talking about it, and they add parts of the show, and it's like there's this like I think it is really really scary to think that there is a large part of the Western world who really believes that there is a large group. Now, like I said, on my channel, I have never ever denied that yes, there are real racists in the world, and there is real homophobes in the world, and there's real sexists in the world. Of course, there is. That is something we're not going to get rid of. That's just not the way. You will always find somebody who's not going to like you for some reason. That's just part of human existence. But the fact that there is a huge community in the Western world of people who actually think there is a large amount of people who are still so narrow-minded and so ignorant and so unaware of the fact that there's homosexuals and that there's women and that there's black people and that they actually think and live and breathe. Like, oh my gosh, what a revelation. Thank you, Hollywood. Like, it's just, and especially from a show from somebody who lives in New York City for her whole life and is a lawyer in New York City, to act so incredibly stupid. It's so far-fetched, and I'm just kind of like, God, I can't believe the left, the entertainment industry, that they actually legitimately believe that this is reality. That this is reality in the year 2022. That it's just like I can't decide if I should burst into flames out of anger, cry my eyes out, or if I should just laugh hysterically. Because it's like all three, I think, are legitimate emotions at this point. Because it's so offensive and ridiculous and just stupid. You know, like in one of the other things, like I'm here. Oh, it's only 17 minutes. You guys are used to way longer tangents from me. One of the other things that's on the show is that they're constantly bringing up the fact that the women are getting older and how hard it is to be a woman and to get older, and you know, and how hard black people have it and how hard gay people have it. And they really have to. And like, I think Charlotte has 2 kids. Yeah. And one of them, of course, is now trans, doesn't want to be like, is changing her pronouns. She doesn't want to be a girl anymore or whatever. And I'm like, of course, of course. Oh, Miranda's now a lesbian, of course. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. But like, I don't know. Like, I was actually thinking about this because like there's this one woman who's like reviewing all, but I think she's hilarious because she's also super anti-woke, and like I love her like the way she's reviewing the episodes. And I left a comment under one of her videos, and because she was like saying what the people who are writing the episodes, they actually do like a podcast, and then she reviewed the podcast about how stupid the podcast was, which it was. And there's something, I don't know, like, I feel like the people of my generation, like 90s, 80s, maybe early 2000s, people who were in their childhood, young adolescence in that time, I feel like we kind of got the tail end of a lot of historical truths. I don't know how else to say it. Like, we got the tail end of this idea of, you know, being gay is bad, and maybe like black people are all violent, or you know, women belong in the kitchen. Like, we were kind of still raised with movies, you know, because we were kind of probably watching movies from 10 years, 20 years earlier, and we still kind of saw like more hardcore gender roles. We still saw that there was no gay people on TV. We still saw that, like, you know, there was like black shows and white shows, you know, but like thing is, like, I think we kind of got the tail end of it, right? And as we progressed into adulthood, I just remember the 90s and the early 2000s being a very, very, very open-minded thing. Like, the people who in that time we were maturing, we grew up and we were like, who cares? Like, we don't care about race, and we don't care about man or woman, and we're equal, and we don't care about gay, and we don't care about bi, and we don't care about Asian, and I don't know what all these kind of stuff. And this is just like I've already said many times on my channel. I don't believe in this oppression Olympics. I don't believe in all this crap. I don't believe that it exists in the Western world anymore. There's going to be people who don't like you, but as a society, I don't think it's an issue anymore because of that. Like we got the tail end. We kind of still saw, oh, in the past it was like this. We as a generation didn't live that out. The 90s and the early 2000s were awesome. They were an awesome time. Like nobody cared about any of this crap. You know what I mean? But it's like now that we're the adults, I can't help but I feel like a lot of people in my generation are kind of now trying to convince the next generation that all of these things are still factual in the way people think and the way people act. Like homophobia is rampant and racism is rampant and sexism is rampant, and I'm just like, that's not the reality of the world anymore. Like in the Western world, nobody gives a shit if you're gay or trans or black or Asian or tall or short. Like just nobody gives a shit anymore. They just don't. The only thing people care about anymore is if you're being obnoxious and if you're being in their face about it. They just want to be left alone. If it naturally comes out that you're gay or whatever, they're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, who cares? But it's like, yeah, if you show up with stilettos and a beard, but lipstick, and one eye has makeup and the other eye doesn't, and then you're like, I'm a genderqueer tree person, then people are gonna be annoyed because it's obnoxious. But then, yeah, like, so on the show, they're like constantly talking about it's so hard to be a woman. It's so much harder to be a woman. And I'm like, it's an older woman. Like, I don't even know how old they are, like 70, 60. I don't know how old they are. But like, but they constantly talk about like, it's so hard to age as a woman. And I'm like, but then in the show, it's like, all they do is like go like, oh, my hip is hurting and oh, I can't sleep anymore, and I'm just kind of like, okay, if you're trying to show that you can be 50, 60, I don't know, they're not 70 yet, I don't know, 60 maybe. I'm like, if you want to show that with 60 you can still have some spunk and some flair, well, then by going around being like, oh, this arthritis is really kicking in, and I can barely walk, blah, blah. I'm just going to wear moo-moos because it's just more comfortable. And, I'm like, you are actually now in the show reinforcing this idea that when you get old, you get crotchety and you don't want to do anything anymore. Like, I'm like, this is just not how people think anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody of my generation who thinks because you're 40 or because you're 50, you're just over the hill and gross and disgusting. That is just not, I don't know anybody in my generation who thinks that way. At all. Like, they're just kind of like, do the best you can with any age you are. That's like, there's so many women nowadays who are 40 and 50 and maybe even 60, and they're pulling in younger men. They look good, they're working out, they're doing their stuff, and nobody gives a like, I don't know, like, it's like, just can somebody please invent the time machine and take me back to like 2010 or even like 2000. Take me back to 2000. Like, all these stupid, like, all this BS and all these stupid, like, everybody's racist and like just the pandering, and I don't know, more than anything, like, I would love, like, if you guys watch the clip and then maybe come back, because you guys know I don't like to edit. Otherwise, I would have like played it in the video and made this a 45-minute video. I am more so than anything, like, I've always been more of a reader anyway, but I can tell you right now, more and more and more, I am just turning away from the entertainment industry because I'm sorry, I am a grown ass man. And if I make the decision to spend my hard-earned money and movies and all these subscriptions you have to do for whatever, all these HBO Max and whatever they're all called, I don't have any of those things. You're taking people's hard-earned money and then you're turning around and all you're doing is telling them how stupid they are, how ignorant they are, how they need to be more open-minded, how they need to learn to use different pronouns, and how they could the 7,000 ways to be more woke and be more progressive. And I'm like that's not what I turn for entertainment for, and I don't believe anybody else does. It's like, yes, there's always been movies and books and magazines and whatever that have had political and social messages. But I feel like there was a time where the writers actually actually gave enough shits to at least somewhat disguise it within a good plot or within some good humor or at least with some decent acting or something. And it's now literally like, I mean, to me, I feel like if I nowadays the vast majority of movies or TV shows you start like I might as well just go to school. I might as well just take gender non-binary 101 at like UC Berkeley or some shit or someplace like that because that's literally what you're getting in movies. Hello, welcome to today's movie. You are a piece of shit. Are you white? Because then you suck. Are you straight? Go to hell. I mean, like that's basically like only black people matter. Only gay people matter. Respect people's pronouns because otherwise you're a murderer. You're a murderer if you don't respect pronouns. I mean, like that's basically what movies and entertainment has turned. And it's like I'm not interested in that. Like I said, and I'm somebody I don't even care about these things. I know who I am and I know how I think and feel, and I'm not gonna have somebody else tell me what I am or what I'm not. Um, but there's plenty of people who are even trying to get on the woke train. They're trying, and then I'm just like, you're turning those people who are even willing to listen to this garbage, you're gonna turn them off by being so tactless about it. Like I don't know. So anyway, that was my Sex in the City rant. It wasn't really about Sex in the City. Uh, are you guys watching? Are any of you guys watching the new Sex in the City? Do you confirm or deny what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Do you think it is not that woke? Do you think it is as garbage as what the reviews are saying from pretty much everything that I've watched and heard? Um, how do you guys feel about all the woke messaging in the Hollywood and the movies and everything nowadays? Do you guys find it appropriate? Do you find it inappropriate? Do you enjoy watching it? Yeah, curious minds want to know. Tell me stuff. And that's it. Bye.